They say America is filled with ghost towns, places once alive with families, commerce, and laughter, now reduced to empty shells of buildings and streets overtaken by silence. But none are quite like Ravens Hollow, a small agricultural community in rural Indiana. Unlike the typical ghost towns that withered slowly over decades, Ravens Hollow disappeared in a single night. In 1953, every man, woman, and child vanished without warning, leaving behind a town that looked as if its residents had simply stepped out for a moment and never returned. Ravens Hollow was founded in the late 1800s, a peaceful farming town with fewer than 600 residents. It had a main street with a diner, a general store, a post office, and a modest church that stood proudly on the hill overlooking the town. Life there was simple. Families worked the land, neighbors shared harvests, and children played baseball in the fields until the fireflies appeared at dusk. It was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone, and where the future felt predictable, safe, and steady. But on the night of August 12, 1953, everything changed. The first outsiders to discover the disappearance were two traveling salesmen who pulled into town the following morning. They noticed how eerily quiet the streets were. No children running, no smoke rising from chimneys, no sound of voices. At first, they thought it was just unusually early, but as they walked down Main Street, the strangeness became undeniable. Plates of food sat on kitchen tables, some still warm to the touch. Radios hummed softly with static, as if someone had left them tuned to a fading station. Cars were parked in driveways with keys still in the ignition. It was as if time itself had frozen, and nearly 600 souls had been plucked out of existence. The authorities were summoned quickly. Police, then state officials, and eventually even the military descended upon Ravens Hollow. They scoured every building, every attic, every cellar. They searched the woods and the fields surrounding the town. They found no footprints leading away, no signs of struggle, no indication that the residents had evacuated. It was as though the town had been drained of life in a single instant. One officer later described it as walking into a photograph, a perfect image of life, with all the people erased. Neighbors from surrounding towns came forward with accounts of strange phenomena the night before. Several reported hearing a low, metallic hum that seemed to vibrate in the air for hours. Others claimed they saw brilliant lights in the sky above Ravens Hollow, lights that shifted in color and shape, unlike anything they had ever seen. One farmer swore he watched the entire horizon glow with an otherworldly white light before everything went dark. Theories began to swirl almost immediately. Some whispered about a secret military experiment gone wrong. After all, the Cold War was in full swing, and stories of hidden testing sites were rampant. Could Ravens Hollow have been used as a testing ground for a new weapon, something capable of erasing an entire population without damaging the town itself? Others leaned toward more supernatural explanations. Local legends spoke of the land being cursed, once belonging to indigenous tribes who warned settlers not to disturb the earth. Perhaps the entire town had paid the price for ignoring those warnings. Then there were the ufologists. For them, Ravens Hollow was undeniable proof of a mass abduction. They pointed to the strange lights, the humming sound, the lack of any physical evidence of departure. To this day, some UFO researchers believe the people of Ravens Hollow were taken aboard a massive craft, spirited away to another world, never to return. Still others whispered of a darker possibility, that the townspeople themselves had willingly vanished. Some claimed Ravens Hollow had been the site of a secret religious cult, one that promised its followers transcendence to another plane of existence. A ritual, performed in the dead of night, could explain why not a single body was ever found. But there was no evidence of such a cult. Only rumors and whispers that added fuel to the mystery. The government's response only deepened suspicions. Officially, Ravens Hollow was declared abandoned due to population decline, a vague explanation that made little sense. Records of the town began disappearing from maps and documents. By the 1960s, Ravens Hollow was no longer recognized as an official settlement. It was as though the town itself had been erased from history, just like its people. And yet, the town still stands. Urban explorers and thrill seekers who venture into Ravens Hollow describe it as unerringly preserved. Houses remain furnished, dust covering plates and photographs. Schoolbooks sit open on desks in the small elementary school, as though students simply got up and walked away. In the diner, cups sit on the counter, cracked with age but still waiting to be filled. Some say the town feels almost staged, as if it is waiting for its residents to return. Explorers also report disturbing experiences. Shadows that move at the edge of vision. Whispers echoing through empty hallways. The sensation of being followed, even when alone. One group claimed they heard children laughing faintly in the fields at dusk, though the fields were empty. Another visitor swore that an old radio inside one of the homes crackled to life, playing a 1950s song in perfect clarity, before falling silent again. Perhaps the most chilling account came from a paranormal investigator who spent the night in the town church. He reported waking at exactly 3:03 a.m. to the sound of the entire building vibrating, the wooden pews rattling, and the stained glass windows glowing faintly as though lit from within. When he fled outside, the sky above Ravens Hollow was glowing a pale, unearthly blue. No one else saw it, and no camera recorded it. But his account remains one of the most detailed in recent years. Today, Ravens Hollow is avoided by most locals. They say the air there feels heavy, and time itself feels wrong. Some who have visited claim their watches stopped working the moment they entered town, only to resume once they left. Cell phones lose signal, compasses spin uselessly, and electronics malfunction. The few who spend more than a night there often report vivid nightmares, dreams of faceless people staring at them from the windows. So what truly happened in Ravens Hollow? Was it a government cover-up, a mass abduction, a supernatural curse, or something far stranger than any of those explanations? No one knows. All that remains is the shell of a town frozen in 1953, a monument to a mystery that has never been solved. And if you ever find yourself driving along the quiet roads of Indiana, you may stumble across it. You might see the sign at the edge of town, rusted and half buried in weeds, still bearing the name, Ravens Hollow. And if you decide to enter, remember this: many have gone, few have stayed long, and none have ever uncovered the truth of what really happened the night the town vanished.